All right, now that you're feeling comfortable in your new surroundings here in Corel Draw X4 and you understand the differences between vector and bitmap images, it's time to start creating. That's what we're going to do in this lesson. We'll look at a few different ways to create new work here in Corel Draw. We'll talk about creating new blank documents as well as getting some help through the many templates you have at your disposal here. So it really doesn't matter what you have on your screen at this time. I'm just going to close up everything by going to my close button up here on the menu bar in the top right corner. So that leaves me with nothing here, not even a blank document. So you can see that most of the tools and the menus are unavailable to me. There's a few different ways to create new projects, new files, or new documents, whatever you want to call them. One way we saw earlier is from the welcome screen, and we can always access the welcome screen by clicking this button here in the middle of the standard toolbar. When we do that, we're going to see the quick start menu by default. And over here, notice we can create a new blank document, and that's going to give you a new blank page, like a blank canvas, ready to start working with all of the default settings applied. Now, if you want a head start, you can check out the many templates. New from template will allow you to choose a template before you create your new document. And this gives you a good head start. Of course, any content that's delivered to you in a template can be altered, manipulated, removed. It's all up to you. So we're going to look at both of these methods in a moment. Right now, I'm going to close this up and show you that here from a blank screen, we can also go to the new button on our standard toolbar. Control N is the keyboard shortcut, and this will create the new blank document for you. So you get the default settings, a blank canvas ready to go on your own. However, if you go up to File, you'll notice that New also appears here just above New from Template. So both of those options that we saw in the welcome screen available here as well. So let's start with New. Control N on the keyboard to create a new blank document. When we give it a click, it doesn't take long before we've got our blank canvas here in front of us. But let's examine some of the defaults that are given to you here when you choose to create a new blank document. Of course, these defaults can be altered. We'll talk about that later on in this title when we customize our work environment. But right now you can see my default is set to letter. So my paper size and type is letter, which means 8.5 by 11. That shows up over here on my property bar. The orientation is portrait. I can easily change that to landscape. And any changes I make to the actual layout will be applied to all of the pages in my document. So if I had 10 pages here, any changes I make, like flipping to landscape, would automatically be applied to every page in the document unless I click this other button over here to apply page layouts to the current page only. So we'll be talking about that later on as well when we start to manipulate our page layouts. My default units is set to inches. That was selected during the installation process, so that's all automatic for me. And I'm ready now with my blank page here sitting in front of me to get creative and start working on my first project. Now, like I said earlier, if you wanted some help and you need a head start, you can use one of the templates. To do that, we go up to File, down to New from Template. Anytime you see a command on a menu that has the ellipses after it, those three dots, that'll remind you that you're about to launch some kind of dialog box. So you're going to see a screen with some options here. So let's give it a click, New from Template. And instead of just giving us that new blank document here, you can see that we get a list of filters down the left, templates on the right, and designer notes will appear when we select a template. Now by default, you're probably viewing all of the templates available to you, and they are categorized in alphabetical order here as well. So notice that advertisements appears at the top. There's a few options there. Then we get into brochures. And as I use the scroll bar to scroll through this list, you'll see it's quite extensive. There's lots to choose from. So let's say your intention was to create some kind of poster or sign. That was the project you were about to begin. Well, you could come over to the filters here and choose a category. And you can see brochures, for example, gives me some brochure options. None of those are really what I'm looking for. And as I go down the list, you'll notice there is one here called posters and signs. And when I click on that, look at that, I get a whole bunch of options. Here's one that represents a bakery type layout. And if I click on it, I'm going to see that additional information over here on the right. So the industry, North American bakery or coffee shop. You can see the piece is a sales poster. The description shows up down below. The style, combination of modern style and traditional touches, creates this warm and welcoming feel. So it's all set up for you with style, Color choices are selected for you, browns and yellows in this case. The overall message is it's a high quality establishment, modern yet warm and inviting. And you can see the font choices that are used down here and why. Alignment, and look at those two colors down below. They kind of go with each other to give you that feeling that you're after with a poster representing a bakery in this case. You can also choose the tabloid version, and when you click on that, you'll see additional information over here about the tabloid version. It's left aligned with headings. You're also seeing information down at the very bottom, template details. So the title of the template, the page size here is tabloid, meaning 11 by 17 inch sheet of paper that would likely be folded in half to give you that tabloid effect. The orientation, you can see where the template is located. The entire path appears when you hover over it. How many pages, single-sided folds, etc. So let's go to one that's going to work for our imaginary company. Let's say we're going to be working for a bistro, the Green Onion Bistro. We want something here that closely represents what we're after. And I'm thinking maybe this pub sign here. When I click on it, it is a sign, German pub or bar. Okay, that's pretty close to a bistro. It's a retro menu style, traditional, clean and friendly. The alignment's centered. If I want to keep this information as I work on my project, notice there's a little print icon down below, so I can print out these designer notes, have them with me as I'm working on this. That's kind of cool. I'm not going to print them right now, but I'm going to make sure pub sign is selected here under posters and signs, and I'm going to click open. And when I click the open button, you can see it takes a moment, but I'm left with my one-page document here, which is the beginnings of my sign, which in this case, if you can understand German, says daily specials. Now I'm going to obviously change the text to suit my own needs. I'll probably change the logo. Maybe I don't want the beer stein in there, or even the spaghetti and meatballs or whatever that is. So obviously I've got some editing to do, but I got a huge head start. I've got some nice formatting, some nice color combinations. All I have to do is change up the content now. So by using a template to create a new document here in Coel Draw, you get a huge head start. And you'll save a lot of time and a lot of effort in the design and the styling of your document. So those are a couple of ways to start a brand new design here in Coel Draw. Obviously, when you start making changes and altering that content, you'll need to know how to save what you've worked on. And that's what we're going to talk about next.